They are extremely fast.
Nice try.
I was getting a photograph of one, and it's like, it was just hanging there, wasn't moving at all.
You guys ready?
Yep.
This meeting of the Livingston City Commission is called to order. May I have roll call, please? Present.
Present. Here.
Here.
I will have a moment of silence. Now let's stand and pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next up, we have public comment. Please be reminded that anything that's further on in the agenda, we will open for public discussion and to limit it to items which we have control over. Do I have any public comment?
Jay Keeper, 325 South Main. I'd like you to give me a little basic primer on there. I need to know something about the process as far as how employees are selected to work for the city. Like, let's just name some names. I looked at your website today. Jim Woodhull, Sharon Holmes, Lisa Lowy, Paige Federoff, Ken McInnes, Dale Johnson, Lisa Harold, and Jay Portine. How were they selected on there? Was there an interview process by the commission?
I'll direct that to Lisa Lowy.
Thank you, Commissioner Schwartz. All department heads are interviewed through, because you've pretty much referenced department heads, so I'll go with department heads. They are all interviewed through a competitive process, through a search that is broad scale, statewide, nationwide, depending on the role and implications of the role. They are ultimately appointed or hired by the city manager.
With the exception of the chief, fire chief.
Fire chief, yes, which does have
The city
an
commission
has an
as a
approval vote.
final, yeah.
Can I ask why there is an exception for the fire chief?
I have no idea.
Since you're saying that like the city attorney would be selected by the city manager, correct?
Correct.
On there, and the city commission would not be involved in any interview process.
They are not required to be. We have historically had the chair and vice chair as part of that process.
Has the as far as tradition being you involving the commission, has there ever been a disapproval by the city commission over a person selected by the city manager?
The one that I was involved in was our current fire chief, and it was a 5-0 vote to hire him.
Okay. Well, now my question now goes, since the city manager hires the city attorney, who is the city attorney's client? The rule of law or the man who gave him his job?
The city attorney is responsible to the city of Livingston, the organization, as well as the laws and statutes as they are dictated through code.
Okay. I want to notify the city and everybody in the room tonight that yesterday I went down to the city offices and I asked for a police, fire, and ambulance log from 2009 to 2018 on police, fire, and ambulance runs. And I think this will be beneficial for the community and you, because I feel that the police chief and fire chief at the last meeting did a great job. If they ever decide to leave their jobs, they should be selling homeowners insurance and selling meteor and satellite protection for $750 a year. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Anyone else have any public comment at this time? All right, moving on. Consent items, any consent items that need to be pulled? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion.
I move we approve both consent items.
Second?
Have motion by Maybe and second by Newts. Roll call, please. 4.
4.
Yes,
4.
Motion carries. No proclamations this evening. No scheduled public comment. No public hearings. No ordinances. And a bunch of resolutions. The first several are all first readings. They will go to a public hearing at the next meeting. Our first resolution is Resolution A. Resolution number 4849, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Livingston, Montana, of its intent to increase the fee for standby ambulance service rates. Ms. Lowy.
Thank you, Commissioner Schwartz. This particular resolution pertains to the fees charged by the ambulance service to be standby at special events. This is an increase to the fee. This is again a resolution of intent to discuss it further in a public hearing at the next meeting. Of note, this particular rate structure has not been changed in the last 20 years. So this move to change and increase this rate structure is to bring it in line with current costs.
Thank you. I'll open up to public comment first and then commissioner comments. Any public comment on resolution 4849?
Regarding resolution 4849, can you tell me what the current rate structure is?
65, I believe.
Yeah.
Raising
65?
from $65 to $85.
Is there, I know that you don't have much room on the agenda, but is there any reason why that more specificity of a rate adjustment couldn't be included rather than, because if this would have been included in the line, I probably wouldn't be speaking to you. Thank you very much.
As a reminder, the agenda is available online before the meetings
Correct.
and available for viewing at the library and here at city offices. Any other public comment regarding resolution 4849? Move to the commission. Any comments?
I was asked by someone if that was included in the increased mill levy that just passed. That wasn't part of, that was all capital equipment, wasn't it?
Correct. The mill levy is related to capital equipment replacement of ambulances, things of that nature. It is not part of this.
Thank you.
And that goes away in
It does.
how many years? Can't remember. That mill levy. 10? Yeah.
This is really for special events.
Right.
Yes.
So
That's
when
exactly what it is.
somebody submits their application for a special event,
It is just an
To be
impact
part of the fee.
on the standby rate to have a crew standing by to cover large events, football games, things of that nature where we're asked to be on standby.
Any other comments? We move to vote to move this forward, right, Jay? Yeah. Do I have a motion to approve motion for approval on resolution 4849?
I make a motion, we pass resolution 4849.
Second? Please.
Second,
Motion by Friedman, second by Maybe. May I have a roll call, please? 4.
4.
or
Or,
Motion carries. Resolution B, resolution number 4850, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Livingston, Montana, giving notice that the City Commission has completed its preliminary budget in the amount of $19,026,620 for the fiscal year beginning on July 1st, 2019, and ending June 30th, 2020, fiscal year 20. That the budget is on file and available for public inspection and on the internet at livingstonmontana.org, and calling for a public hearing for the approval of the final budget and making appropriations. Ms. Lowy.
Thank you, Commissioner Schwartz. This resolution moves our entire budget forward to a public hearing and approval status. This $19 million budget encompasses both the general fund as well as all enterprise funds and other associated funds within the budget. And again, it is available for viewing on our website, and we have copies available at city offices if folks want to review it.
Thank you. I'll now open it up to public discussion. Any public comment on resolution 4850? Commissioners, any comments on resolution 4850? Mr. Maybe.
it was brought to my attention that some of the items had tremendous percentage increases. And as it has been explained to me, those increases were the result of moving items from one budget or one department to where it actually belonged. So it's an increase only in terms of putting it under a different department,
Yeah.
the correct department.
Right, that's basically finally accounting for those expenses in that department realistically. So, I mean, as far as insurance,
Mhm.
wages and everything else, gives us a more accurate reading of what each department costs the taxpayer.
Correct.
I mean, we've been over this twice already, the budget. I appreciate the layout. I appreciate that I didn't have to use what you all had to use in previous years. It sounds like this is much nicer, especially for my first time. I don't have any questions or things to add because we've talked about it and heard so much about it already. So, yeah.
Mr. Friedman?
No, good.
Do I have a motion for resolution 4850?
Yeah, I make a motion that we pass resolution 4850.
I'll second.
Motion by Friedman, second by Maybe. May I have roll call, please? 4.
4.
Or
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item, resolution 4851-A. Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Livingston, Montana, of its intent to estimate the cost of maintaining lights and supplying electrical current to Special Improvement Lighting District Number 20 in the amount of $83,000 for fiscal year 2019 through 2020, and levying and assessing 100% of these estimated costs against every parcel of property within said district for that part of the cost which is accessible area bears to the accessible area of the district. Wow. Ms. Lowy.
Thank you. This resolution pertains to the cost for providing lighting in the special districts. This is an annual allocation that we make within each budget to keep the lights on, literally. So, thank you.
I'll make one comment before I open up to the public. Nobody seems to know why it's named District 20. I mean, we only have one, so that encompasses the whole city.
Mm.
I'll now open it for public comment. Any public comment on resolution 4851-A? Commissioners, comments?
I have a question. So this might be C and D, I think, are related in that they're the same districts and they're all lights. Is this taking into account the energy interns recommendations?
To the
No.
capacity that we can at this point, yes, because some of those savings are not yet realized.
So moving forward, it will just be as anything needs to be updated, we'll be using the more efficient recommendations for long-term savings. Okay,
Correct.
I just want to make sure because not everything is stated in the
Mhm.
resolution, so. And my other question is, not relevant. Thank you.
Mr. Maybe, Mr. Friedman?
No, no, thank you.
Do I have a motion on resolution 4851-A?
I make a motion to approve resolution 41 or 4851-A.
Second.
Motion by Newt, second by Maybe. May I have roll call, please?
Second by Friedman.
Friedman.
I mean, oh, okay. I gave you the win, but okay, we'll go
Thank
to
you.
Friedman. Um, 4.
Pat, 4.
Or,
4.
Next resolution number 4852. No, it's not a dash A. Where is it?
I read it that
Somebody
way
put a
too,
dash there.
because there was no space on that one. We were both
Oh, okay.
bold.
4852-A. Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Livingston, Montana, of its intent to modify Special Improvement Lighting District Number 20 by replacing streetlights and other appurtenances therein, and to levy and assess 100% of the estimated costs of $66,600 for fiscal year 2019 through 2020. Again, against every parcel of property within said district for that part of the cost, which is accessible area bears the accessible area of the district, and calling for a public hearing. Ms. Lowy.
Thank you. This is for the hardware and for the actual light fixtures for replacement and maintenance of those within the district, which is again the entire city.
I'll now open it up for public comment on resolution 4852-A.
Don Platic, 229 South Yellowstone. Does any of this have to do with, or is any of this money budgeted for replacing the really big, tall street lights that are throughout the city with the ones that are, you can see them up on Calendar, Main Street?
Ms. Lowy?
The taller ones are the standard light. The ones that are in the downtown are special, essentially handcrafted lights that are unique to the downtown. They cost approximately $9,000 each. So there would not be an intent at this time to change all of the lights citywide to be like those.
So
The
the 60,
taller,
Go
I'm sorry,
ahead.
the taller ones also cast a better light for visibility and view shed in our highly trafficked areas around town.
so then these, or this charge is just for if there's a light that's out, it's going to be replaced. If there's one that's tilting, it's going to be replaced.
That's correct. This is for the fixtures themselves.
All right, thank
And
you.
with more efficient,
Yes.
with the more efficient bulbs now.
Oh, yeah, that's a good statement then, Quentin. It looks like there are some of the more, I'll call it the cooler colors, and then there's more of the warmer colors. So what's the city standard on what the lighting's going to be?
We are moving towards the most energy efficient. Generally, we've been looking at LEDs because of the efficiency as well as the long life of the bulb material. But again, we're not in a position to replace everything all at once, so we're doing it as it comes.
Right. I guess my question was rather than the technology, the color. When I say color, the coolness, the warmness, the white ones or
Okay.
the yellow ones. Is there a city standard?
No,
I,
I don't believe
not
so.
that I know of, but I would prefer the,
Is there going to be one? Yeah, because
prefer the
some you
warmer
got the bright
myself, yeah.
ones, the cool ones.
and I thought our intention was eventually to replace all the streetlights with what we have downtown as those improvements are made to sidewalks and stuff.
As improvements are made, yes,
Right.
but it's not something we can just do across the
So
whole city.
the taller ones will be phased out
Some.
as we improve our district,
So my question then to the commission is maybe you can ask the city, what is, I assume you're not going to get a 3,000 K for one street, a 5,000 K for another street. I assume there's going to be
as far
some
as the,
standard,
similar wattage, and stuff and color.
right?
It's a good question. We'll bring that up to Shannon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Any other public comment? Thank you, Jack. Come on up.
Yeah, Jack Luther, 104 South Fifth Street. I was under the impression that the tall lights on the poles, the sodium vapor and the mercury vapor lights were Northwestern Energy lights. That the city didn't maintain them.
The answer to that is it's complicated.
Some they do, and
Some they do and some they do not.
Okay. Because I know when I call in to report a light out, street light out, they ask me if it's a tall on
Mhm.
a wooden pole, that's Northwestern Energy. We don't handle them, and the other ones we take care of. So
Yes.
thanks.
Thank you.
thanks, Jack. Any other public comment?
Hello, I'm
State your name and address.
I'm Wendy Weaver, 203 South I Street. I just have a question. It's hard to understand the resolutions without any context. So I was wondering if there's a comparison of what the increasing costs have been from year to year. And on the last one as well, um, if this is a brand new cost that's being assessed or it's 2% increase or what amount of increase. And then I guess just along the lines of understanding what our standards are for lighting, what we're doing to I'd like to understand what type of energy efficiency goals we're trying to meet and also how we're addressing dark night skies. So are these fixtures, are they designed for downlighting? And I don't know all the technical terms so that they're not, lighting up the dark our skies and they're going down. I think that's super important, especially as the town grows. So those are just a question and a comment, I guess. So
We do have a night sky ordinance,
We do.
and so everything,
We're
new
Designed to
that's,
comply.
city-wise,
mhm.
wide we're complying. with
Okay.
and stuff, and trying to bring, businesses up to speed and stuff like that.
So is that for all new stuff or is that
hmm
so how is that applying to the existing stuff?
We've had the night sky ordinance for quite some time, so we do have compliance with our night sky ordinance.
Okay. And where do I find that?
I believe it's available on our website, but I can take your contact information
Okay.
at the end of this and have someone get back to you.
Okay.
And we're in the process of an energy audit.
Yes, we are.
I always forget his name, but
Comrade Taranti.
yeah, he's doing an excellent job
Okay.
identifying these places and stuff. So
Okay. And yeah, I was just curious, like what the increase in our energy
I was
costs have
thinking the
been.
same thing myself.
Oh,
And
okay.
I have to look back. At the
Okay, I was
budget.
just
I know
curious.
it would have been nice to have side-by-side numbers as
Yeah,
well.
that,
Sign in, please, Wendy. Thank you. Any other public comments? On 4852, not -8. Commissioners, any comments?
I have thoughts relating to all this, but it's more appropriate in commissioner comments.
Okay,
So
very
I'll
well.
save it.
Regarding, yeah, the differences, next meeting when have a public hearing, perhaps we can have those numbers, so
Certainly.
to see, what the increase is. I don't feel like looking it up right now, since we
And-
are gonna visit this again.
Quentin,
Yes.
sometimes the second hearing isn't always at a commission meeting, so that's one thing we'll have to check to see if it's
Oh,
at a,
It's slated to be at the next commission
it is,
meeting.
okay, thanks,
Yeah.
Lisa. I wasn't sure.
And we do have prior utilization and prior expense costs built into each of the budgets, and all of our budgets are available online as well.
Right.
So
that's, yeah, I know. I could go, yeah.
we do a side by side in the
Yeah.
entire budget packet.
Friedman, Mr. Maybe, anything on that resolution?
No, thanks.
Do I have a motion on resolution 4852?
I make a motion, we pass resolution 4853.
2. We haven't gotten to 53 yet.
Oh, you said, that's what I thought you said, 52. Second.
Motion by Friedman, second by Maybe. May I have roll call, please? 4.
Four. Four.
Or,
Next resolution is resolution number 4853, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Livingston, Montana, of its intent to specify the assessment option for street maintenance and improvement district number 1 for fiscal year 2019 through 2020, levy and assess all property within the district. Ms. Lowy.
Thank you. Again, District 1 encompasses the entire city. This fee is for the maintenance of our streets, pothole patching and things of that nature, striping, painting. So that is what this fee is for.
I'll now open up to public comment for resolution 4853.
Jack Luther again. Couple questions. When was the street maintenance district number 1 created?
Ms. Lowy?
You know, I'm not certain. I know it has been in place for quite some time, at least the 5 years that I've been here, and
Okay.
well before that. But I can get an exact date for you and get back
That
to
was
you.
my question. In the past, though, it hasn't been implemented. Is that correct? This is a new assessment?
No, this assessment has been implemented consistently for years. I just don't know the exact
Oh, it has.
the
Okay.
exact year.
I wasn't aware
that
of
it
it. I'm
started.
sorry. How, can you tell me how they assess? Is it by street frontage or the parcel that you own, or how do
Lot
they?
size.
Lot size.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Any other public comment?
Don Platic, 229 South Yellowstone. I don't even know where to start with this one. Does the city have some kind of map that we can look at to say, here are the streets that seem to be in dire need, so-so need, and one's down at the bottom?
We do have an inventory of streets that are in greater need than others.
Is there someplace the public can see that?
I can check with Shannon Holmes and see.
Okay.
I know they have, a regular work schedule and things of that nature where they're addressing these items, but
So does street sweeping go into this as well?
yes,
So when they don't run the street sweeper, brand new street sweeper, may I add, a couple $100,000 that taxpayers paid for last year, well, funded last year, and we don't get our streets swept.
well, your streets are getting swept. We have had staffing and hiring issues this year.
Streets didn't get swept in May.
They are being swept in June.
They didn't get swept in May, and we pay to get them swept in May. And again, for taxpayers and homeowners, the commission approved about a $250,000 street sweeper that sits in the garage. It's not a valid answer. The streets did not get swept, and we paid for a brand new street sweeper. If the city manager can't handle it, get someone that can do the job. And that's really for the commissioners. I mean, you hire someone to do a job. It's laid out. Look on the city's website. Gives the duties of the city manager, the whole list of them. And some of them he's deficient in. Some of he's really great in. I said at the last meeting, the new water treatment plant, fixing the downtown streets, but a lot of day-to-day stuff does not happen. Just drive down some of the streets. They're a nightmare. It's bad for the whole city. And now I'm assuming you all have your tax appraisals most people have gotten them. Look at the huge increases in them. And there's just, again, I don't even know where to start, but you get the point I'm making. So if this is for our general street fund, why don't we get our streets swept? Why don't we get potholes filled? I'll just give you another example. Talking to a neighbor, they come around with that machine that sprays the rocks in the hole. And now you drive down it and the streets are even worse because those little rocks that they spray in the hole, they don't really stick to it and they're all over the street. No street sweeper comes. I'm even thinking if they come, they're going to rip up everything that was sprayed in the holes anyways. So again, for the commissioners is if they're charging us for something, we should be getting that service. And if it's not, it's up to you guys and ladies to make sure that they do provide the service. The city manager is accountable to the commission and you're accountable to residents. And it feels like it falls on deaf ears. I'd like to get any comments. You're free to speak during the public comment. I understand you don't have to, but you're free to speak.
Well, I don't want to get into a debate. That's not what we're here for.
Understood.
We want to hear your comments and we'll address those afterwards, but it defeats the purpose of
Well, I guess
we'd be debating back and forth.
No,
all
I
night.
don't want to do that, Quentin.
I don't want to do that.
I'd like to ask the question is, if he's
Right.
accountable to you, shouldn't you hold him accountable? Do you feel that things are running okay? Streets are doing okay. They're being swept okay. I can get into other things, but that's just a couple examples. And if not, you should state your opinion and have the city manager say, hey, I'm supposed to provide that service.
Thank you, Don. Any other public comment on Resolution 4853? Commissioner comments? Mr. Maybe.
My understanding of the street sweeper problem was a personnel problem. I have no idea of why people don't want to hire on to jobs, but there's a problem getting employees. And that's the only reason that the street wasn't swept, short of pulling somebody else off of some other function, which would leave that deficient. That's why it happened that way.
Melissa?
Yeah, my recollection is the same as Warren's. I believe they had to make a choice due to the understaffing to fill potholes or sweep the streets. So they prioritized potholes first after this winter was really rough on roads, we all know. And I believe Michael said that essentially we're not being taxed and paying for positions that are not currently being filled.
Right.
So yes, we have had obviously to pay for equipment, but we're not paying for the service that is not being performed. And I think I've heard all the commissioners talk about their frustrations with understaffing, not just in this department, but in other departments as well. That we are frustrated. That we're all frustrated by it. So we hear you and we are saying the same things at meetings ourselves. So yeah. I yield.
Friedman?
Good.
I'll just add to that and maybe, Ms. Lowy can expand on this. It has been a staffing issue. Perhaps we're not offering enough money, who knows, but that, I'm sure that's an area that we're looking at. And, could you expand on that?
Sure. Staffing and filling positions citywide, not just for our organization, but other organizations that I'm in touch with out in the community, has been exceedingly difficult. We have had a couple of businesses now relate that they've cut their hours because they can't find staff. So it's really universal across the city at this point, that, and not just the city as the city organization, the city government, but across the city as a whole, that hiring through this season has been exceedingly difficult. We are still not fully staffed with seasonals in our parks department. So, at least in the last 5 years, we have never run this late into the season without being fully staffed by seasonals. We're competitive with other groups in terms of cost, and even another organization that does landscaping, which would be somewhat similar to what our parks department does, is offering even more than we do, and has had trouble filling those positions, even at almost $20 an hour, has not been able to fill.
Thank you.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Lowy. Oh, and back to the pothole patching. This is very similar to chip sealing an asphalt road, where you put down a layer of goo and put gravel over it, and then traffic in time compresses it into the hole. And we bought this equipment. It's a lot more efficient than trying to get, waiting for a batch plant to start up and get material from them. This is something that we can do anytime on our own. And eventually this stuff will work its way to curbs, and our street sweeper will hopefully get it. Mr. Friedman?
We're going through a real transition here. Number one is we don't have a job service anymore. Closest job service is over in Bozeman. And Bozeman does not get involved with Livingston that much as what our needs are, but that was a critical thing. I work for Counterpoint part-time. I've been with them a number of times. So short of help. I'm working almost the entire month because that's how short we are. So we are going through a transition with that, and it's going to be a tough one. So along with what's going on, housing for hourly people, it's got a real problem there. So we got a bunch of things coming at us, as a lot of places do, but right now, and we're really feeling a crunch of Bozeman, of the housing cost and what's going on over there. It's been going on for quite a while, but it really hits home now. So that's it. And the other part of the street sweeper thing, we got hit in the winter with a lot of snow removal and overtime, which really crunched the budget down a little bit. So that was kind of a prelude into what we're faced with. So it's a bunch of problems, but from now on, housing is going to be critical. And people who do own things are increasing the cost to people. And we're in it. So I don't know what to say.
Any other comments? Do I have a motion on resolution 4853?
I move we pass 4853.
Second.
We have a motion by maybe, a second by Friedman. May I have roll call, please? Four.
For.
Next resolution, resolution number 4854, resolution of the City Commission of the City of Livingston, Montana, of its intent to adjust all rates for all customers of the City of Livingston water system. Ms. Lowy.
Thank you. Again, this is a resolution to adjust water rates within the city. Paige, do you happen to know the percentage? 3% increase. Figured the question would come up, so. And
What I
again,
was just looking for too.
right, and again, this is a resolution of intent to move it to a public hearing. This is not the final decision. Thank you.
I will add that it is approximately 37 cents to $1.12 for residential customers per month. Yes. I'll now open up for public comment. Public comment on resolution 4854.
Question for you, instead of jumping up and down here, can I make a comment on the next three resolutions at one time? Or do I have to do them one at a time? 4854, 4855, and 4856. I'd like to comment on all three of them.
I'll allow it since there's not 100 people here. Sure.
Well, when was the last rate increase? Do you know, Lisa, offhand?
Last year.
That's what I thought.
About to, yeah.
And the solid waste increase probably at the same time?
Correct.
No.
No?
Oh, 2016, that's right.
15? Okay. My social security increase this year was 2.8%. I think in the last 2 years, I didn't get an increase in social security, so my income isn't increasing near as rapidly as you're increasing the fees here. Don mentioned home reappraisal. My home was reappraised from 2015 to 2019, it went up $10,800 in 4 years. This year it went up $92,200, 28% increase. My estimated taxes are going to go up about $600, a little over $600, a little over 17% increase. The water rate hike, 3%. Everybody says, well, 37 cents to $1.12 a month. Not a lot, but when you poke in the $2 increase for solid waste, that's an 11% increase. You got a recycling fee coming up here. I'm assuming that you're going to come by my house and pick up my recycling for that $1, right? No, probably not. If I add that to the solid waste, I got almost a 17% increase in solid waste and recycling fee. I'm not destitute. A lot of people are in this town, and this is really going to hurt a lot of people. I understand that prices go up. Everybody's prices go up. Everybody's costs go up. But I think that we need to fall back and look at what we're doing to the average working people here in Livingston, because I think that these rate increases are going to hurt them, along with the tax increases and everything else. So thanks. Appreciate it,
Yeah.
Quinn.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Don Platic, 229 South Yellowstone. Yeah, I'm right with Jack. I wish mine only went up 20-something percent. Mine was like over 50.
Me too, yeah.
It would be nice if the commissioners just helped out the public and the city so we don't have to read the entire budget. So I'm doing a lot of this from memory. So there was a 2012 bond that has been serviced, completely serviced. Can't pay it off yet for whatever reason. And I don't remember the amount of the new bond that came on, but I thought it was less than what that old one was. So that should be a somewhat lower reduction. And I got to think with appraisals going up, I'm assuming city probably knew. I mean, I think we all know appraisals are going to go up. And then the rate increase comes over on top of it. So I'd like to get comments on, have you really looked at the budget and said, hey, let's get a good understanding of it? And I'm just going to bring up that bond that got serviced. So that's a debt that we no longer paid for starting, I don't know, this is like fall or something. And when it was brought up, when the debt was serviced, it said, oh, that'll be reflected in next year's, whole budget. Yet we still see the budget go up. So can you give any comment on, okay, that debt was serviced, but a whole bunch more came on to account for this rate increase?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paige.
Just to clarify, this increase that we're talking about of 3% is in the water fund. The one that you're referring to was in the sewer fund. There is no rate increase to your sewer this year.
So the 2012 bond is strictly sewer, nothing to do with water?
Correct. Yep. You're welcome.
Thank you, Paige. Anything else?
I think I had still like a minute. Were there
Yeah.
other debts being serviced that maybe went off the books?
Thank you, Don. Any other public comment on resolution 4854? Commissioner comments? Mr. Maybe.
The water main failures, and I think there were, what, 2 or 3? The water main system is all the same age. So the future failures can be expected, and some of this money, I don't have a handle on every dollar, but some of the money is to upgrade the water main system before the failures occur. So it's not like financing the same system. It's improving what's really a rapidly deteriorating water main.
Thank you, Warren.
Now, one other
Go
thing,
ahead.
I don't know how that fits in with the capital improvement budgets, and I'm not sure that I'm talking accurately here. If it's already in the capital improvement budget, then that, what I just said would be null and void. But it is a fact that the whole water system is pretty much on its last legs. Thank you.
Mel? Yeah, unfortunately, we're going to be playing catch up for as long as I'm alive on this water system. It's the bills come due, and we had that big break this winter on 7th Street and Park, and
Couple of times.
couple times. Yeah. So I don't like paying it any more than anybody else. And as an aside, my property taxes went up 50% as well. The assessed valuation. So let's see. Do I have a motion on resolution 4854?
I make a motion, we pass resolution 4854.
Second.
Have a motion by Friedman, second by Maybe. May I have roll call, please? 4.
Or
Or
Motion carries. Next resolution, resolution number 4855, resolution of the City Commission of the City of Livingston, Montana, of its intent to increase the rate for collection and disposal of solid waste in the amount of $2 per month per residential customer to become effective July 2019, and calling for a public hearing. Ms. Lowy.
Thank you. This, again, is a resolution of intent to call for a public hearing on a $2 per month rate increase in the solid waste pickup. So that would be effective on July 1. Or August? July or August?
It will be on the bill that is set.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
We'll now open up for public comment on resolution 4855.
Hi, Wendy Weaver, again, 203 South High Street. I have a question. Has the city looked at implementing a pay-as-you throw program, like structure similar to water use, so that there's a smaller size garbage can, so if you're not throwing out as much, you're paying much less, and encouraging, people who throw out a lot to pay more? Because I know our whole block could probably use one can in 1 week and it would be fine, but we all have these massive cans that are empty all the time. So it was just a question to consider that might help with the increasing costs of picking up waste, encouraging people to throw away less, maybe. Just a question.
Okay. Do you have an answer to
I
that?
do not believe we've looked at that methodology yet, but that is certainly something I can bring back to our Public Works Director and we can take a look at for coming years.
Kind of like the Bozeman model where they had garbage tags. and,
Exactly.
You
yeah.
know.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
When we were at one of the budget meetings, it's my understanding, Lisa, right, that the fee was in large part due to the green waste,
Correct.
and it's incredibly expensive and
It is.
stockpiled
Mhm.
way beyond what the city can use.
Yes.
So I think Wendy's idea actually seems hyper relevant and could be addressing many of the challenges that Public Works has. So I would, I guess, include the green waste cost in that when you ask Shannon.
And I can also share that. I'll share that with Mr. Cardus as well, and him and Shannon can work through that.
I imagine it would take like different collection, right? Like the actual, what is the word, Quentin? Like the
Yeah.
vehicles, what are they? The trucks, like they would
Right.
have to be able to like weigh things as they. So
Yeah,
different, but-
that's a conundrum, yeah. But it'd be nice if
Inexpensive.
we could, lower our tonnage. We have a
Mm-hmm.
contract with the company that hauls our garbage off, and we have to guarantee them a certain number of tonnage,
By the ton, so.
and
Did-
we pay by the ton,
Aren't there some businesses that have to pay by weight already?
it's commercial.
So we
Commercial.
already have the,
Mhm.
potentially the vehicles, why can't I think of
Mechanisms
the
in
word? Yeah,
place.
mechanisms in place to do something like this in Livingston.
I agree, because my can is never full. I recycle, compost.
It sounds like green waste is the reason that it's going up.
But I can certainly address all this with, discuss it with Mr. Cardus. Let him take it from there.
I'm sorry, I didn't. It's still open to public comment. Got off track there. Commissioner comments?
This does not include this is just green waste. It does not include the next resolution, correct? I wonder if we want
Just
to,
solid waste,
I wonder if we
which
want to,
includes the green waste.
yeah. I wonder, do we want to know more information before we vote on this? I mean, it would be just like next month potentially that we could hear. I mean, I know it takes time to implement things, but I just don't want something to get put on the back burner if
Right,
it's something could
without-
actually
if we can
save
actually implement
people
something else.
money sooner rather than later and be more efficient for the city staff as well that has to deal with waste.
I
Look
would
for
need to-
direction here.
I would need to talk to Mr. Cardus about that in terms of what we would be able to produce. I'm gonna kind of go out on a limb here and say that for this particular budget year, any massive mechanism and change is probably not realistic, but something we could look at in coming years.
I just needed to hear that out loud.
Mhm.
But I don't want it, I also don't want it to get put on the back burner and forgotten about until the next time there's a rate increase. And then we're like,
Correct.
oh, whoops, why didn't we?
Mhm.
So if we could hear something back at the where it stands at the next meeting, that would be great.
Go right ahead.
Melissa, I heard you mention something about charging our residential customers based on their actual weight of garbage, which is what we're doing for our commercial customers right now. The problem with that sort of structure means that there is somebody that has to sit there and enter those weights into every single utility account. So from a billing perspective, we would have to increase staff by 2 or 3 people
Okay.
probably to be able to do that for all of our residential customers on a weekly basis. So the idea of having different can sizes, I think, from a utility billing perspective is definitely something that's feasible. But weighing every single can as we pick up is just not a realistic way. In fact, they really find it not useful, or I don't know if it's useful for commercial garbage, but it definitely creates some challenges from a billing perspective and some time constraints, because that means the guys that are going around doing those routes have to write down the weight. They then have to bring that information to finance. We have to enter that. We have to upload those rates. So it becomes very time consuming
Super
to
helpful.
do a rate. Yeah,
Mhm.
a usage
And
based
whose
charge.
can is
That's
whose?
super helpful. And
Yeah,
no,
and whose can is
I think
whose,
that's
and-
super helpful. And so how do you
Yeah.
think that like green waste compares to that? Because there's so many fewer cans and it's not year round. It's just, it's episodic and it's for a shorter period
Well,
of time.
this rate increase has to do with some of the cost of disposing of green waste, but
Mhm.
it's not the only reason for this rate increase. We've got other capital improvements that need to be done related to solid waste. So while that's a component, that's not the only reason for this $2 rate increase.
I really appreciate you coming up and
Yep. You're
offering
welcome.
more information. Thank you so
You're welcome.
much. Yes.
Thank you, Paige. Anything else?
No.
Yeah, I think that's something that we as a commission could really push for and work to find solutions for this. Encouraging the public to compost their own materials and stuff and reduce their waste, increase their recycling. It's just better for planet, better for our bottom line all the way around, but that's what I'd like to see. Any other commissioner comments? Do I have a motion on resolution 4855?
Resolution to accept 4855.
Yes.
Second.
Motion by Newt, second by Friedman. May I have roll call, please? 4.
4.
For,
Yes.
Next resolution, number 4856. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Livingston, Montana, of its intent to create a recycling fee to be part of the solid waste fee for all customers of the City of Livingston's solid waste system. Ms. Lowy.
Thank you. This next resolution pertains to creating a separate recycling fee in addition to or as part of the solid waste fee for all customers. And again, this is another resolution of intent. And if there are specific questions about what that rate structure would look like, I'll have Paige come up and discuss that further.
Would that be helpful at this time to have Paige address it? Yay, nay?
Yeah, there's more people in the room than when we talked about it last time. It might not hurt if she has
Yeah.
anything.
Thank you, Paige.
So this recycling fee is really to assist in the green waste cost. So while we recognize not everybody has a green waste can, the city does offer all citizens, including county residents, to be able to dispose of their green waste for free at the city facility. There is a cost associated with that when we have to dispose of that material. Some of it is taken to the Swingley Road facility, and some of it is actually burned at the Bennett Street area. In addition to the green waste, there is the cost of recycling glass. Livingston is one of the few communities that actually accepts glass in Montana. But we do have to pay to dispose of that. That it's there's too much glass for the city to use as it had originally been set up to use, and so now we are paying a recycling service to come and haul that away. Um, and so this is a way to offset some of that cost that the city is paying for the glass recycling. In addition, the idea behind this recycling fee would be able to expand the facility hours for the recycling area. That would include putting in the necessary safety or surveillance equipment to make sure that people are actually disposing of their recycling correctly and being able to monitor those who are not and follow up with that. Any other questions?
No, thanks.
Thank you, Paige. I'll now open it up for public comment.
Regarding Resolution 4856.
State your name, Jay, just for
Jay
the audio.
Keeper, 325 South Main. The speaker before us said there was an increase in hauling glass. Just what is the charge for hauling glass? Rather than just to say we need an adjustment or an increase. I wish you'd be a little bit more specific in numbers.
Ms. Lotwey.
We have historically done some trials around hauling glass to recycling organizations. It costs us more to haul it away and have it recycled. So there's almost no value to the glass is part of the problem. So it just becomes an additional cost to the city. There is nothing that we gain in return from it. That's why almost no municipalities in the state of Montana recycle glass at this point.
Lisa, thanks for the honesty. My question to you and the commission is, why are we continuing a losing proposition?
Ooh, I could go a couple of places here.
Mhm.
Because it feels good, honestly. Yeah, this is one of those areas where folks want to talk about recycling and being green and taking good care of the planet, and we certainly all want to do that. But this is an area where it is so cost prohibitive to do that we end up in the situation we are currently in. Folks have determined that it means enough to them to have a charge, so that is what we're doing to try to limit the overall cost to residents.
Well, you know that Kenny Rogers song, you don't have to know when to fold.
That's a decision for the community at large.
I requested probably about 2 weeks. I made an addendum on there. I got a response from Mr. Cardos about the fiscal year 2018 to going back 4 years on the recycling center, the wages and salaries, total operational cost recycling center. And I got just the fiscal year umbrella for each item. And do you have any idea when we can expect a complete breakdown regarding the recycling center's costs and income, if any?
I'm not familiar with the exact parameters of what you requested from Mr. Cardus. I can certainly follow up with him and when he's back in the office and get back to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay.
Don Platic, 229 South Yellowstone. It would be nice, you see, it's up to the public and you see no one hardly ever shows up. So they don't care. But I shouldn't say that. I take that back. But what would be nice is to provide numbers. So a few commission meetings ago, they signed a new disposal recycling fee with the company in Bozeman. There was a glass option on there. So when this comes up, it would be nice to say, hey, here's what the option was and here's how we're paying for it. It would be nice to know how many homes are getting the $1 or $2 charge. You can say, okay, that company was going to charge us this much per ton, and here's the $1 fee. I'm hoping you all understand those numbers because I didn't go look at the budget. And then the other good information I think you should provide to the public is here's what it costs to just dump it. I forget what that was, $45 a ton or whatever. And I understand that people, I say, oh yeah, we want to be green. Let's say green's going to cost you 300% more than just getting rid of it. A lot of people may say, you know what? I'd like to be green, but I can't afford it. And we can't get any of these numbers here. So it would be nice if the city or somebody provides that information to the public. And then I think they can make a more informed decision. Oh, about the water one, talking about raising rates. There could be a detrimental effect as well. Remember the tree ordinance a while back? City will take over the trees, and the tree guys said, hey, a lot of things cause the trees to die. And one of them was lack of watering. Well, the first thing that's going to happen, you already see it when summer comes. This year maybe it's going to be a good summer, but the grass goes brown. Well, the trees aren't getting watered either. So you raise the rate, it could be counterproductive. You don't water the lawn, you don't water the trees, and it hurts the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Any other public comment on resolution 4856? Commissioner comments.
Yeah, behind you, Don, is Paige Federoff, the gal that's coming up here. She's our finance guru, and she's done a fantastic job. Also, our budget meetings are open to the public when we go through these numbers, and it's open to the public. But since Paige has been with us, I've been through quite a bit. She's been fantastic, and has done a great job for us. So again, when the budget hits the paper, everybody's welcome to come on in and we listen to the same thing that we do. But Paige has done a great job for us.
Currently, we've been taking the glass and stockpiling, so it hasn't been costing anything except time for us to haul it to off-site to the Swingley Road. But we're at a point where that's just not sustainable anymore. And glass recycling has opened up again where the people that we contract with now have a place where they can take it. They have a buyer for it. So, but yeah, the numbers that's well done. Yeah. Side by side comparisons, to throw it in the landfill. I don't know. Is it a wash? I don't know. Can't answer that. Sorry. But perhaps we can get to that. I yield. Mr. Maybe?
I don't have a specific source at this point because it was a long time ago. But if you investigate recycling, other than from an environmental, you're doing a good thing, on a purely cost basis, it's not worth it. If you track back, like electrical vehicles, for example, and follow back everything that goes into the production of that vehicle, including the electricity, it's basically a losing proposition other than the environment. And I'm not making light of that, but on a purely financial basis, almost no recycling is a gaining proposition.
I'm going to disagree with everybody who's talked about recycling and trash. Because since I've lived in Montana, I've always heard people longing for glass recycling and being very disappointed that the nearest options were states away or 2 states away. $1 or less than $1, since some of this is increasing hours. That's the other thing that's happened in other communities, in our own community, is shrinking hours to recycling centers. So $1 to get both of those things is not a lot to pay. It's just not. For people who say there's not a cost to stockpiling trash, I would say there is a cost, obviously. And that cost is to the future residents of Livingston. So I think it's really important to be thoughtful about opportunities to reduce our impacts as a community so that we're not just passing the cost on to the future residents, because somebody will have to pay for it. And we could do this now, or we could leave it for our grandchildren, but there will be a cost. There's only so much space, and we don't see it now from where we live. So it's easy to pretend like it's not there, but it's there. So that's my thoughts on dealing with our trash that we all create, that we should have to pay for it.
I agree. 100%. Thank you.
hmm
Any other commissioner comments?
I yield.
Let's see, where am I? Okay. Can I have a motion for resolution 4856?
Make a motion, we pass resolution 4856.
Second.
Motion by Friedman, second by Newts. May I have a roll call, please? 4.
Four.
Or
Yes.
Motion carries. Our next item, resolution 4857, resolution of City Commission of the City of Livingston, Montana, of its intent to change the name of Elm Street within the Brookstone subdivision to Brookline Street. Ms. Lowy.
Thank you. Elm Street already exists in Green Acres, which is a nearby subdivision, although it is located currently in county. The numbering conventions of the two, one is county, one would be city, so this would leave us with a confusing numbering system as well as a duplicated street name. The developer has picked this new name of Brookline Street and is in full support of the change, as it will help alleviate any issues that may come up with emergency response, 911, where to actually dispatch folks down to something as simple as mail delivery.
Thank you, Ms. Lowy. I'll open up for public comment on resolution 4857.
Can we have Lisa pointed out on the map first? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
I'm like not seeing it immediately.
It's over to there. Yeah, that street there is Elm right now,
Mhm.
where the arrow is. And I just drove it today, as a matter of fact, yeah.
Thank you.
Any public comment? Commissioner comments? Mr. Friedman, any comments on that?
No. Good one.
Yeah, I drove by it today. Makes sense because there's no way to sequence the numbers. Yeah, it just didn't exist before, but it lines up with Elm. So, do I have a motion on resolution 4857?
I move we accept resolution 4857.
Second, second.
We have a motion by Maybe, a second by Friedman. May I have a roll call, please? 4.
Four.
Or
Yes.
Motion carries. Our next resolution is an addendum. Resolution 4858. 4858. Resolution of City Commission of City of Livingston, Montana, authorizing the city manager to sign a collective bargaining agreement with AFSCME Local 2711A for the period of July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2022. Ms. Lowy.
Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. This is our collective bargaining agreement with the AFSCME union that represents our public works employees. So this encompasses streets, water, sewer, solid waste, wastewater treatment plant, animal control, and all of those associated operations and activities. This is a 3-year contract, which provides for continuity in terms of budgeting as well as operational distinctions among how we allocate funds, allocate resources, and also look to the operational components of this agreement. It is the core components of this agreement. There is in the first year, a 2% increase, second year, a 2.5% increase. Year 3 is a 3% increase. This is to base salaries. This represents bringing us in line to be more competitive with other organizations that are doing similar type work or the construction industry itself. It also includes openers in years 2 and 3 for us to determine how we would allocate any health insurance stipend to the members of this union. Our rates are set annually for health insurance, so this is a cost that we cannot predict without having an opener in year to year. Additionally, in this agreement, we have extended the time limit for the residency requirement to 30 minutes. We have historically had a 20-minute response zone requirement that folks working in this department live within 20 minutes of essentially Bennett Street in terms of response. Due to a lot of it is right now the housing situation in our community. We are having to waive this requirement across the board for many, many roles where we would have that residency requirement otherwise enforced. It's simply not affordable for some folks to live within the city currently with the housing situation. So we did agree to extend it to a 30-minute zone, which gives folks some more latitude in terms of seeking housing. We have added a $50 per month stipend to the solid waste. This is in addition to the regular standard clothing allowance, just for the nature of what they have to handle. And then there is also an addition for working out of classification. If someone is covering for a foreman, if a lead man steps up to cover for a foreman, they would receive foreman pay for the time they are stepping up to cover. We have increased the buyout of vacation time to 72 hours. This is of their use or lose time. So folks that accumulate time, if at the end of the calendar year you have an excess of 2 times what your normal annual allotment is, you're allowed to cash out up to 72 hours. This is beneficial for the city because we end up not having to pay overtime to cover those positions for folks to take the time, or folks don't lose their accrued time. So this really is a good cost saving measure for the city. And then the only other change of relevance is that we have increased bereavement time to 5 days without distinction of distance to travel for funeral services. And this is a benefit that we are instituting citywide for folks that experience a loss in their immediate family.
Thank you, Ms. Lally.
Thank you.
Open this up to public comment on resolution 4858. Do I have any public comment? Do I have any commissioner comments? No commissioner comments? Do I have a motion on resolution 4858?
I make a motion, we pass resolution 4858.
Second.
A motion by Friedman, second by Newts. May I have a roll call, please? 4.
Or
Or
Yes.
Thank you.
Brings a conclusion of a lot of resolutions. Action items, action item A. As a commission, we need to schedule a water reclamation facility ribbon cutting ceremony. Ms. Lally, any thoughts?
I would suggest, with schedules avoiding, the week of the 4th, obviously, but would defer to whatever works best for you all.
Is there anything from Mr. Empter that he would?
No.
Any idea on if he has any idea? Okay. It's looking pretty good over there. I mean, most of
It's
the stuff
nice.
is
Yeah.
pretty much moved out.
Mhm.
A few trailers here still, but I'm open for suggestions.
Perhaps before the next commission meeting?
Sure,
Which we didn't finalize the last time, correct?
we did. It's the
It was
16th.
Oh, we did,
16th.
okay. I had a backup one still on my calendar.
So I would say anytime the second week in July, 8th through the 12th.
That's when I'm gone.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. I mean, you could do without me if you wanted. You know I like the
I know you do.
wastewater treatment facility. What about Lisa's idea to do it just right before the commission meeting?
We
I
can
mean,
do
it
it on
won't
15th.
take very long, right?
Amenable to everybody else.
The 16th?
What date?
15th? of
16th?
July?
15th of July?
16th?
16th is our meeting.
Yeah,
15th.
Yeah,
like right
16th.
before the
When
meeting on
Oh,
the
I see.
16th?
Oh, on the day of the meeting.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, what will it take? Half an hour tops?
Drum roll.
I would
Yeah.
say. I would guess no more than half an hour, but
Is that reasonable?
Sure. Now we need a time.
4:45? Because we have a meeting here at 5:30
their standard hours run until 4 p.m.
I was going to say, yeah,
Yeah, we gotta
till
know.
4 p.m.
during working hours over there. So it'd have to be like 3.
So you're saying you want children in the picture? We can arrange for that.
Well, no,
some
I
of us
want-
will
I
be-
want,
I will be bringing my
the
children.
staff be able to
Yeah.
participate.
My kids will be in the picture then.
About, I would suggest 3:30,
3:30,
3:30 on
the
July
16th,
16th
16th.
60.
16th.
for family-friendly ribbon cutting ceremony at the wastewater.
Wow.
It's so good you can bring your kids there.
We'll have water. Wastewater to drink. Okay. What time did you say again? 3:30?
3:30?
Very well. Okay. Even though it's an action item, do we have to vote on this, Jay? I don't think so. Ms. Lowy, city manager comments.
I would just like to thank the commission for their flexibility in adding the addendum for the union contract onto this particular agenda. It helps us in terms of running our first payroll in July without having to do a ton of rework. So thank you.
Melissa?
Yes, first, happy birthday.
Thank you.
I hope we've made it memorable for you.
You have. Thank you.
I am concerned about a couple things that have kind of been put on pause due to all of our summer fun activities and limited meetings. So I just want to highlight again, I really want to see some planning board. They have a great memo that's going to come to us highlighting some things that we should be thinking about. I think Parks and Trails has something coming our way. Our boards are doing really good work, and I just want to make sure we stick with them and see their recommendations in a timely fashion, keep things moving forward, and don't stall on the work that they're doing. The other thing tonight, Wendy's question. So this is chapter 18 in our city code, the night sky ordinance. I think it would be great. Lisa, can you see if Michael Cardus and Comron have any, if they could just take a look at our night sky ordinance, because I know we talk about it a lot, and see if there's any recommendations if we need to put in LED lights and these energy efficient upgrades, how we might incorporate some of those upgrades. I lived in a community where they started changing the lights to LED, and let me tell you, it was shocking. And it was like, I needed to buy new curtains for my house bright at night. So bright. So I think it's really good to be mindful before those updates, because that could be an expensive mistake that irritates a lot of people in the community if it's not done right. To see if there's something we need to update. And Don's question about cool versus warm, and just take a look at that ordinance and see if there's anything we need to fine tune before we start making changes.
Right.
I don't know if I need to make a motion for that to happen. Jay, do I need to? Okay. Yeah, that's all I have. And thank you, everybody. This is great. I love the public feedback. It's super helpful. So thanks for engaging with us tonight. I yield.
Mr. Maybe.
I think that Melissa's points about things that are coming up, I think it's really critical that we don't get bogged down in minutia, and I think it's critical that, and I don't even begin to know what it would be, but there's got to be some kind of answer for the housing problem, because it's the foundation for so many other problems. So that's all I have. I yield.
Just want to thank the public for being here. Always welcome comments, and especially Paige being here. Appreciate that. I yield.
Yeah, thank you again, public, for showing up. It does mean a lot. And one way we get feedback besides, email, and I don't even get that much that time. It's encouraging to see Brookstone starting the development starting there. I can't remember exactly how dense is that housing there. It's zoned R3, but
Mhm.
I can't remember what they're
Can't
putting
remember
up
which
there,
one
but
it
it's
was.
encouraging to see. I don't know what the price point is, but it is building, and hopefully it is affordable and start meeting some of these needs as well. Back to code enforcement and stuff like that. One citizen pointed out some urban decay I had no idea existed. I went and looked at it. It's shameful. I mean, it's horrible. And we need to look into that and start dealing with that as well. Specifically on Meadowlark and Robin Lanes. And I can't wait till we get our code enforcement officer back up to speed so we can start addressing these issues. And I will talk with the city manager when he gets back about if we are doing anything at this time with those properties, if they have been noticed, or what process we're in, so we can get back to the people affected by it. But it just devalues their property as well and makes it hard for anybody to sell anything there. One thing, Lisa,
Yes.
has there been a request to close down the 100 north block of 2nd and Main by anybody yet? Or are we?
Yes, we are. It is encompassed in the revised information that I have received from the Chamber of Commerce as
Okay.
of yesterday. So that is included for those to be pedestrian areas.
Okay, people have been asking me and stuff like
Mhm.
that, so that's good to know. I think I've said enough on that thing on Facebook and stuff. I'm not going to belabor the issue anymore. It's unfortunate that it had to happen. Be that as may, let's make it the best parade ever and continue to do so and continue to improve on this new route. At that, I yield. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Friedman, second by Maybe. Roll call. 4.
Support.
Yes.
This meeting of meeting of the Livingston City Commission is adjourned.
Let's just get something squared away. 9/4.